And that's when I kind of woke up. I realized, wow, the healthcare system is rigged.
When I ask people, like, how much effort do you think you put forth every day? Like, oh, at least 50%. Bullshit. I bet you it's 5. This is excellent business stuff that people need to know.
Right. We never learned this. This watch alone has probably made me $500,000. How? Because it's...
Sam Patel, welcome to Tomo Talks, where people listen to me, Tomo, talk about too much bullshit and too much fun and have too much interesting conversations. I'm happy to have you here, man.
Yeah.
You were known to me from business first. Like, we weren't friends first. It was a business interaction first. And you are a medical consultant. You consult different medical businesses, different medical companies, different clinics, and you help them generate multi-millions in income and revenue, and you turn clinics around. I've heard this about you. You have a reputation about you. So I appreciate you coming on my podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming and talking with me. I just want to dive into it. Like, tell me who you are, because you're not just a medical consultant. You also went to medical school. Like, you have a little bit of a history, and you've opened your own medical clinic. So tell me, who is Sam Patel?
Well, hey, Tomo, I appreciate you having me today. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Listen, I was born and raised in South Florida, so, coming back to Florida is always nice. After going, I actually went to the Midwest. It was freezing cold. Went to Purdue as my undergrad, boiler up. But nonetheless, we were going down this healthcare journey. I had this vision of, okay, I'm going to work in the hospital. I'm going to work in, some sort of specialty, the whole goal of being a physician. And as I was going through the process, really much learned that business and medicine, there's a happy marriage. But as you know, most physicians are terrible at owning businesses. So when I was in med school, I did a dual MD MBA program for that reason. I was like, all right, I'm going to sharpen up my skills a little bit.
It's a lot of school.
It is a lot of school. It was med school during day, MBA during night. So it was brutal, but it was great. I learned a lot. My family's a bunch of entrepreneurs. So I said, hey, listen, when I'm done with this, I want to build a clinic. I want to buy a clinic. I want to go into the private sector immediately. And I did that. In Illinois, right outside Chicago, affluent suburb of Naperville, bought my first medical practice. It was an internal medicine medical weight loss clinic. Got it from one of my mentors. I met him during med school. He was one of my professors. He said, hey, listen, I got some clinics. You want to purchase this one from me? I was like, hell yeah, I want to purchase it from you. So I did, dumped a lot of money into it. And I started to learn not just how medicine was operated on a private level, but how businesses were operated in the field of medicine. And that's what really intrigued me. I said, wow, the customer experience could be so much better. We can make this business so much better. We can make healthcare so much better by just being a better business owner. So I decided, hey, let's open up some more of these. So I went to him. He was the founder. I said, listen, can we expand this? He's like, sure. What do you want to do? I want to build 10 clinics. He's like, okay, let's do it. So in a span of 5 years, we slowly built one after another. He was conservative. I was aggressive. I'm the younger guy. So I decided to build these medical weight loss clinics that did a hormone replacement therapy, that did all insurance-based medicine. And then, I thought this was going to be my dream. I thought that's where I was going to go, and we're going to build this huge conglomerate, and we did. But I realized, hey, there's this other world out there. There's this cash-based medicine world. There's things that you can do that don't require insurance, and that's when I got excited. And that's where aesthetics and non-invasive treatments started to become on the horizon, so I started to gravitate towards it. So I said, let me try out a concept. Let me build a med spa. I'm going to do it kind of away from everyone else.
This is your first clinic.
This was my first med spa, yeah.
So this is the one in a city of only 9,000 people?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, okay. 9,000 people. People always ask me, they're like, Sam, you built 10 clinics in Chicagoland. You built a little bit of a reputation. Why the hell did you go out to the farmlands of Illinois? It's 2 hours away from Chicago. Literally, I know no one. You had
to have no competition too, though. It just had to be you.
Yeah, there was a couple people. There was a couple family medicine docs doing aesthetics, little setups in there. They're very successful.
Sure.
But I said, listen, there's an opportunity out here, and people are like, why the hell are you going all the way out there? And my response to that was, well, if I fail, no one's going to know about it, because I had a little bit of a reputation and I didn't want to ruin it. Okay. And so I said, I'm going to build this med spa out here. It's new territory for me.
Was that literally your thinking?
That was my thinking.
I was from a business perspective, you actually well, if I fuck this up, it's going to be
that was one of the reasons. I realized that if I'm going to try something new, I don't want to go up against everyone that's already done it.
Sure.
I was a newcomer, and once again, I had this kind of nice reputation I was building in my early 30s. I of course, I had a little bit of ego. We all do. And I realized, let's try something new. It's this cash-based medicine, this wellness studio.
I have no ego, by the way. None. Zero ego.
That's what I've heard.
Nothing.
So
we all have an ego.
We all
It's
do.
a good
That's what
thing.
makes entrepreneurs entrepreneurs. We have to.
If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't even build half of what you did.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
I embrace the ego, right? Everyone's has to be humble, but we have to have a little touch of narcissism, right? It doesn't hurt anybody. And so that's what makes us who we are.
Well, it is, yeah.
But, I built this med spa wellness studio out in a population of 9,000, and we did well in our first year. I was like, okay, wow, this is refreshing.
So not just you're talking, you did over $1 million in revenue your first year, first 12 months.
We did.
1.2, if I'm reading my notes correct. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
We did. We had 3 staff members, and we just went to work.
What drove that is my question.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the medical industry. We didn't do 1.2 million in our first year.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that.
Yep.
So what did you do? There's a lot of people that are entrepreneurs. There are people that are interested in becoming entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Some people that are in the medical industry, but what did you do specifically that you could give as a lesson?
Sure.
In how you drove that in a population of 9,000? I'm sure people came from outside towns.
Yeah.
But what was your revelation there?
Yeah. So I realized that, and I think this is where I was taught the customer experience and the client experience was so important, was during that endeavor. I realized in a small town, you can have amazing outcomes, but you can have terrible outcomes. Your reputation can go viral in a positive way or opposite in the negative way, because word of mouth is massive.
Mm-hmm.
So we realized, okay, if we're going to do something here, we can't just be cookie cutter. We can't be normal. We have to think outside the box. We have to bring up efficacious treatments. We have to hone in on the patient experience and make them feel as if they are our best friends, and make them have good outcomes, because that will spread virally. That is my marketing. People say, you must have spent so much on Google AdWords, and I didn't spend a dime. $0 on anything. It was all holistic.
That was 2017, 18, before COVID, yeah?
So that's when my medical weight loss clinic. So this one was actually during COVID. We built this first med spa. I designed it. Actually, the inspiration happened during 2019 when the world shut down. I said, I had a manic episode because insurance-based clinics were shut down, basically. And unless you were, no one needed to come to us.
Essential,
right?
Yeah.
So
they're trying to shut us down too.
Right, yeah. And so we had to create essential services. So I said, I sat down with my wife. My wife's a hospitalist with the Northwestern group. And so we sat down and said, what can we do now? Let's do something fun. So we built this med spa concept during COVID, and it took off right then and there. And marketing was different. About the style of what you traditionally do, which is spend lots of money digitally, which is important. Don't get me wrong. We didn't have to do. And so we realized if we just hone in on the patient experience, I went nuts on this. Patients would walk in the door. Everything's digital. I always tell people I'm allergic to paper. I hate it. And everything was digital. They would sign in. They would go through their intake form. I would ask them 3 unique questions outside of their medical questions. I would ask them, what's their favorite color? What's their favorite travel destination? What's your favorite music? And the people would look at me and like, why the hell do you want to know this? This is a medical clinic. Yeah. And I said, listen, it's part of our journey. By the time they went to the back room, the rooms were equipped to all the hue colors, and the LEDs were changed to their favorite color. The 4K television was playing YouTube drone footage of their favorite travel destination, and the HomePods were playing their favorite music. We dialed it in to another level.
Dude,
to that customer experience.
You ever read the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
I have not. I should.
You're doing it.
Oh, okay.
You did it. So you did it probably, it might have even been before he wrote the book. Will Guidara, I saw him speak in Fort Lauderdale at Patrick Bet-David's Vault event.
Oh, nice.
But he was, and Tom Brady was there, and was it Tom Brady, Will Guidara, Mike Tyson?
Oh,
you think Tom Brady, Mike Tyson are the most of what people got was from Will Guidara.
Yep.
Because everybody's entrepreneurs.
Right.
And he built this concept of being unreasonable with the hospitality that you offer.
Right.
That right there, shit, you need to get Will Guidara on your you need to get Will Guidara on your podcast. I would love to see you two chop it up.
Yeah.
Because his concept is the same as yours. Yeah. And I'm doing that to some extent, But now you just called me out. I feel like I didn't do color hues, bro. Like I want to.
Yep.
This is next level cool shit that honestly I never would have even thought
Well, I
about.
tapped into the psychology of what patients. I put myself in their shoes. I said, what makes me feel comfortable? I mean, think about it. We're talking to people in their most vulnerable time,
Yeah.
either cosmetically vulnerable,
Sure.
hormonally vulnerable,
Yep.
their weight's too much, they have diabetes, whatever it is, they're coming to us with vulnerability.
Yeah.
And we are there to be their therapist in a way. We're here
Yeah.
to listen. We're here to give them an experience. And that's only going to happen if they bring down those guards.
100%.
And if we put them in their environment and doesn't make it feel like, hey, you're in a stale environment, there's no music, it's too serious. You have the old school medical beds with the stern. I mean, it's
oh no, hell no, we don't. Yeah.
none of that, right? It has to feel comfortable, it has to feel as if it's their escape. So I made it into a resort feel, that Four Seasons sort of concept, because that's what makes people loosen up. And when they loosen up, they tell you things. So when they tell you things, you can treat those things. When
Yeah.
you can treat those things, you make money.
Yeah.
And it was a simple equation. And so we really honed in onto that patient experience, and it grew viral in that community. And that's how we did it.
That's sick, man. I mean, I want to touch something that you said earlier. You were talking about like digital spend on
Yeah.
companies.
Yep.
I don't spend a lot on digital outside of website, some SEO, just being able to be found.
Right.
But I never did a lot of Google advertising, never did a lot of social media advertising. And like, yes, it has its place.
Right.
And yes, I will do it when we emerge into new markets, right? So like when I'm building my Dallas clinic, yeah, I'm going to do a marketing
Right.
push. Of course, you have
Right.
to in the
Yep.
in the local market. But what you're saying with your idea, and I'm going to call what your idea is the same as Will Guidara as being unreasonably hospitable. Unreasonable hospitality is what you did, and that's why you succeeded, in my opinion. I think that's next level. What do you think of the idea that people look at like paid marketing spend and they kind of look negatively on it?
Sure.
So like I have people that will search on Google, right? And they're like, well, yeah, the first 3 ones that pop up are ads. I skip those because they paid to be there.
Yeah.
And then I look for the ones that are underneath that.
Right.
That tells me something. That tells me that they don't trust it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think about it the same way. I think I do that inherently. I feel like when I go to Google and I'm looking for something, I inherently skip those 3. I'll check them out.
You'll look.
I'll look.
And sometimes those ads will be the match the one that's
Sure.
on top.
There's always a direct correlation, and
Yeah.
certainly that has helped. But I think that, the more organic something is, because, the more digital the world is getting, it's great, but it's also like how much of it is trustworthy? How much of it's influenced by an algorithm? How much of it's influenced by other people that we don't even know?
Sure.
How much of it's influenced by your competition just spending more than you? So it's not that they're a better clinic; they're just spending 10,000 more, and what do? I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
So I go based off reviews. I go based off of all these other ways of looking at how that clinic is doing well. But when we were marketing, I did something very unique. I said, listen, I don't want to do the traditional. I don't want to go pull up a billboard. I don't want to do that here.
Yeah.
I thought outside the box a little bit. We were in the downtown area of this town. There was a bridal studio down the road, and they sell high-end bridal dresses. This place is beautiful, like $10,000, $15,000 dresses. So I said, listen, those are the clients I want. People going to get married. They're looking for cosmetics. They're looking for sexual rejuvenation. I mean, they're in their young years.
Yeah.
They want to be preventative. They want to look amazing for their big day. I want to help them do that.
Mhm.
So I went up to the bridal studio owner. I said, listen, hey, my name's Sam. I own the clinic right down the road. We just opened up. How many dresses a month do you sell? Sam, we sell 12 dresses a month. Oh, fantastic. Every single time you sell a dress, I want to treat your bride to a free laser treatment, free facial, a free 10 units of Botox, whatever it is, I want to treat them. You'll do that for my brides? Absolutely. Bring them in. Guess what I just did? I got 12 new leads.
Mm-hmm.
And those 12 new leads are what type of leads? High quality leads that came from a word of mouth referral from the person who sold them their dress.
Yeah.
So my conversion rate is now huge. Now I duplicate this across many other business types,
Sure.
yoga studios, Pilates studios, even damn realtors.
And your spend is relatively minimal. I
No,
mean,
it's just
yeah,
the cost of consumable or my time.
yeah. So, for a one-time thing, and some businesses will be like, oh, you don't want to give it out for free, this, that, it cheapens it. I hear those arguments, right?
Sure. Yeah.
There's certain things you can,
Right.
certain things you can't.
Right.
You're not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'll put you on a hormone protocol for the next 6 months for free.
Right.
That's not going
Right.
to happen. But yeah, a couple units of Botox, it's not killing the bank.
No, we got to bring people in, and there's always a hook. There has to be. Not everyone's going to go and spend the money for $2,000-$3,000 radio frequency microneedling and all
Sure.
these. Not everyone's going to jump to that. Not, people want to dip their toe in the water,
Yeah.
and we got to get them to do that. And so we realized this community is conservative. How can we draw them in? I mentioned this recently, is that I love what McDonald's did back in the day, in the 90s, right? In the 90s, they had the 99-cent hamburger, and they made billions of dollars. And people are like, yeah, their 99-cent hamburger is what made them on the map. True, but not true. The 99-cent hamburger campaign in the 90s by McDonald's is not what made them money. The 99-cent hamburger drew people in because it was cheap. And then that same customer said, well, I'm here. I'll get the fries. I'll get the milkshake. I'll get the McFlurry. I'll get
Upsells.
Absolutely, the upsell. And that
Well,
99-cent ticket.
Didn't they actually say they broke even, if not lost, a couple pennies
They did.
on those dollar burgers?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yep. They on many, it depends on the area, but some of them actually lost money, and they knew that. But they needed a hook. They needed someone to dip their toe in the water, because when they came in, you drag them in and you say, hey, now I can help you with this. Oh, you guys do hormone replacement. You do medical weight loss. You do exosomes. You do PRP. What is this world? But now we have them interested. Otherwise, if we just market that, people are going to resonate with that. If we just market radio frequency microneedling, get needles poked in your face, people are going to be like, I don't need that, because they don't understand it. So we need to pull people in. And my way of doing that in a small community was to actually go to the consumer, because if we give someone a gift card, I'm vegetarian. I have been. It's just how I've been raised.
Sure.
And when if you know, one of my friends one time gave me a, they obviously weren't a good friend because they didn't know I don't eat meat, but they gave me a gift card to a steakhouse, right? And I was like, oh, nice. I don't eat meat. They're like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I'll take it back. I'll get you some. No, I'm gonna spend this, because if we are given money, human behavior is to spend it.
Sure.
Human behavior is like, I'm gonna go to this steakhouse. I'm gonna find something.
Yeah.
I mean, now
There's going to be something that'll fit your palate.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays everyone's accommodating. But the whole premise here is when we're given something, we want to go and redeem it. Kohl's Cash, right? I mean, everyone looks at that. That's what we did in this community. I said, why don't I go to the consumer, the patients in this scenario, and give them a reason to come in? And sometimes that is a free treatment or a gift card. Once they come in, they're yours. That is more direct than just throwing money into digital, which is important, but throwing money into digital only, and then if you don't have anyone come in, guess what? You never get back that money.
Yeah.
This, if no one comes in, I didn't spend anything.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah. I mean, that's how business really is done. And
It's old school.
Old school works.
It
you know
is.
what I mean?
Yep.
Now, we're not talking old school. Like, listen, anybody spending an exorbitant amount of money on print advertising,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Nobody even reads, like, they don't, I don't even know. Can you even find a Forbes magazine anymore? Like an actual print,
No,
like outside of the airport?
PDF. Yeah.
Outside of the airport, I don't think they even
I
exist.
have clients now that have spent $4,000 or $5,000 a month in magazines that get put into the newspaper at affluent areas. It's like they look at that once, and then it goes into the garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
It's a lot of money.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep.
So one of the things, and obviously you create content. So I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on social media. You have a podcast yourself. One of the things that I see you talking about a lot, and you're a very learned man. How many degrees do you have? Do I even want to know?
A lot. I have too many.
Okay. Do you have a couple masters?
Yeah. So after Purdue, I enrolled at a master's program in Indianapolis.
Okay.
From there, I went to med school to MBA, and then I got a bunch of professional certificates. One from Cornell.
So you have an MBA.
Yep. MD.
You have an MD.
Yep.
Bunch of masters. So your name's Patel. I'm not going to call you out.
That's
But bro,
Hey,
listen,
I respect it.
every Patel that I know is either a doctor or has a shitload of degrees or is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I literally have multiple people in my phone with the last name Patel.
Yeah.
You guys are all rock stars. I don't know what the hell it is about. I know that family is massive, right? You guys aren't even all related. There's so many different.
It's like Smith.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. So
I'm sure we're all from the same, but we're all cut from the same cloth. I mean, we're all first generation, at least right now.
Are you first generation
I am,
American?
Yeah.
So
I was born and raised in Florida. My parents came here in the 80s and they had me. And so you have a chip on your shoulder, right? Because your parents made all the sacrifices.
It's the same with me.
Yeah.
From Croatia, former Yugoslavia, actually.
Right.
So,
you have to make it work.
Yeah.
You have to prove to your culture, your heritage, your parents that we're going to be successful because they made the sacrifices.
Sure.
And I don't regret any of it. We're all fortunate, but education can only get you so far.
So one of the things, and this is why I ask, you have all these degrees and you're obviously successful. I don't know how much those degrees led into you know, where you are now, I'm sure they helped.
Yeah.
Education's never bad,
Yeah.
you know, but one of the things that I hear you talk about is like, no, you don't necessarily need a degree
Yeah.
to be successful.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of your points, your major points in your social media content, which I agree with. And especially today. And again, me and you, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. So we're close to the same age. How the fuck am I older than you? Man, old Sam. So, you know, we're a little bit older, you know, we're 80s babies. College today, I'm talking right now in 2024, kids going to college right now,
Yep.
is not the same college when we
Nope.
were going to college. It's
Nope.
not the same college when our parents were going to college. It's changed.
Yeah.
The education system, the quality of the education has changed a lot.
It has.
So your content, you talk about, you don't necessarily need a degree to become successful.
Yeah.
I'm proof. I don't have a degree in medicine.
Yep.
I have no formal medical training.
Yep.
I have a medical company that does 8 figures in revenue.
Yep.
And we're not even scratching the surface. We're just starting. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your concept with that.
I 100% agree. I think that education has now transitioned into it's not necessary, right? I mean, technology wasn't around before.
Sure.
And so we had to learn from books. We had to go to school to learn. We had to get a degree, go to a professor. The professor had to get the old school transparent paper, put it on. I mean, we're dating ourselves now, but nonetheless.
You made me feel old, bro. 'Cause I
I
remember
know,
that like
I
really
know.
clearly.
Yeah, it's all right. Age is just a number, right? That's why we got hormones.
So we have hormone therapy and anti-aging.
Yes, that's why we're in this industry, so we don't age.
Right.
But nonetheless, since the evolution of technology has manifested, the resource and the knowledge has now changed. We don't have to go to school to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, am I regretful of the education I got? No, absolutely. I'm very thankful. My family did so much for me to get me there. But I don't think if my kids, when I have them, am I going to influence them to go to school? If they want to. I think looking back at school, it helped me become a better person, mature, made me build contacts. It made me understand what not to do. That's what's crazy.
And at certain industries, if you want to become a doctor,
You
have to go to school.
right.
A lawyer, you have to go to
Correct.
school. What engineer?
Engineer. Yeah.
Okay,
Certain things you have to.
Is there anything really else out there besides those 3?
I mean, I can't. I'm sure there's tiny things, but yeah, those are the 3 ones.
Those are the 3 majors.
You have to, right?
Like you can't become those things
Yeah.
without the formal education
Correct.
process, which is fine.
Right.
But like everything else, it's like
You can learn it.
What-
You can figure it out.
how many people do you know that are expert marketers that have a marketing degree?
Right.
I know a lot that aren't.
Yeah, I know majority of the good ones aren't
Majority of the good ones are not.
Yep.
You know?
because they were learning. They were not in this box. They weren't rigid. School makes you rigid, right? School is influencing you now debatably. I don't know if it's even in the right way. It's saying, here, this is what you need to know. It's like, is it though? Is there some other world that I'm not supposed to know about?
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of woke up. I realized, wow, the healthcare system is rigged. Like it is messed up. What they teach you is messed up. They purposely, there's this whole, people meet me and they're like, you have a medical degree and you're really good at business. I was like, yeah, weird, right? And they're like, yeah, because every physician I've met, they're stupid with
Before they
business.
knew your last name was Patel.
Right.
It's
Then they're like-
ingrained in your blood,
right, then
brother.
they're
It
like-
doesn't,
yeah.
You can't do anything about it.
I was born creating businesses, but nonetheless, you know, it's true though. We meet. I mean, I'm a consultant now, right? I've left the world of clinics.
Yeah.
And I see this is that all physicians are so bad at understanding basic concepts.
Yes.
Taxes, P&Ls. They're like, what's a P&L? I'm like, oh my God, what?
Well, they get none of this formal education in school. And I
Right.
mean, like, how much are we really learning even about finances just as young people?
Right.
So we should be teaching some very different fundamentals.
100%
like
agree.
if you look at like primary schools, grade schools, high schools, whatever, they're not even teaching like history in some of these, like legit history.
Right.
Like these kids aren't being taught a lot of things. They're being taught how to take a test and how to
Correct.
pass a test.
Yep.
To be what? A cog in the wheel.
Yep.
To be a good little worker bee.
The only way to learn how to be a business owner is to be a business owner. I mean, it's flat out. You can't learn that from a textbook. You're going to crack a book open and say, hey, this is how you should learn to open up a business. Absolutely not. You have to get beat up. I mean, a boxer, that's like saying, hey, you want to be a boxer? Read about it. No, you learn to be a boxer by boxing. You get punched, you get knocked out,
Yeah.
and then you learn how to fight back. That's what an entrepreneur is. Being an entrepreneur, you can't learn that in a textbook. You have to go and be one, get knocked out, get put back up into a corner and be like, oh shit, did I just do that? I just spent that. I have a loan. And that's where you learn. Otherwise, you're just robotic. And that's where I'm like, oh my God, schooling is a waste of time. Unless, once again, you're going to a professional path. But in the world of owning a business, it's a waste of time. I wish I would have, gone back and said, hey, let me just start now in my early 20s rather than
Yeah.
doing 2 decades of school.
I thought about maybe doing an MBA after I started my business. I'm like, oh, maybe this will help. And like the more people that I talk to, they're like, unless you just want it after your name,
Yeah.
or unless you just want like a doctorate designation, or like unless you want that, like
It's
it makes you
it's a professional flex.
Yes,
that's what it is now.
If you just like that in your signature, fine.
Yep.
Cool. It's funny. I just got target advertised by, it was either Sanford or Harvard Executive Business School.
Yeah.
Which some of their programs are actually kind of cool.
They are. Yeah.
But
you can do it all online now.
The one was, I think it was titled Entrepreneurship: How to Build Your Startup. And I'm like, who's teaching this course?
Right.
The first thing that I thought, I'm like, who's teaching this course?
Right. Because
if it's not people that I respect in entrepreneurship, if it's not Patrick Bet-David teaching it, if it's not Alex Hormozy teaching it, if it's not these guys that are like literally in the trenches building the businesses,
right.
If it's not Sam Patel building it, teaching this, you know what I mean? If it's not somebody that's actually done this and it's all just concept from a Harvard professor or a Stanford professor, that's a waste of fucking money. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
I agree. Yep.
You need to, are there concepts that you can learn? Are there things and strategies you can learn? Yes. But again, information superhighway, right here on your phone, right there on your computer. You can watch YouTube videos on entrepreneurship and probably get more value out of that in 24 hours than you can in a 6-week course out of Harvard.
That's so funny you said that, because last week, I'm creating a new concept for a business, and it's going to involve lots of different types of funding, Series A, Series B, and so forth.
Sure.
And I have no idea about that because we're not taught that. So I watched, literally an hour of YouTube videos, and I felt like I just learned so much. And I'm like, this is a YouTube video. I mean, people go to school for this.
Yeah.
And I just learned it. But that's the thing. I think that degrees is kind of the old man's way of flexing, and now they're irrelevant. I think as we fast forward, like our future generations of children, I don't think degrees are going to be what they are. Like, oh, you have a doctorate, cool, good for you. I think that's what's going to happen. Whereas right now, the prestige is still there.
Yeah.
But I think that prestige is really fading. I don't think it's going to be. Can we see 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds? I mean, you and I both know the people that run this. Those brothers, I mean, they're living proof of it.
Yeah.
We don't need degrees anymore. We don't need that. You just need to have drive, grit, and a willingness to learn and willingness to fail. And that will teach you everything you need to know.
Willingness to fail is such an interesting concept to me, because I talk about it all the time.
Yep.
And I talk about always going through the hard path. I talk about always making sure that you can always pivot, and like, yes, you're a doctor. Yes, you're in medicine. Yes, you're a consultant in medical industries, but to me personally, you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Okay. That's how I look at you. I look at you the same way that I hope some people look at me. We are entrepreneurs, and that's a very sexy tagline right now, when everybody that thinks they, found some crypto pump and dump or
Right.
or started selling something on Amazon,
Right.
and they made a little bit of money, you're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur.
Right.
Entrepreneurs are people that have built, in my opinion, real life businesses that actually employ people, that are actually doing real revenue, that are changing things, that are, business is a very delicate thing.
It is.
So when I look at you, I look at you as an entrepreneur, and I look at pain, suffering, hardship is something that we become very accustomed to.
Yep.
However you develop that mindset, whether it was through your childhood, through whatever, I developed it through law enforcement, through police work. 12 years as a police officer. Yeah. I know how to be stressed and suffer. I'm good at that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, I can go into a situation where there's a good chance that I could be killed. Other people are getting killed. I've seen people get killed. I've almost been killed. That's stressful.
Right.
And then I have to write about it. Then I have to write a novel about it. I have to write a report about it, right? About all this shit, recall all of it.
Right.
After that stressful situation, I'm like, oh, well, stress management is something that I learned in that career.
Yeah, you were equipped for it. You had the backbone to do it.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew that becoming a police officer would have led me down a path of entrepreneurship, because I knew how to deal with stress and failure and all that stuff.
Yep.
How do you look at failure? How do you translate that to other business owners that maybe are so afraid to pivot and fail and get back up? And like everybody, like especially like some people in the medical industry, some doctors, not calling doctors out, but they get a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
How do you get them over that hump? As somebody who coaches these people, as somebody who is as somebody who is teaching these people how to increase their revenue, how to take
Sure.
some risks, calculated,
Yeah.
but risks.
No, I think that everyone is always scared to fail for any profession, for every human. But I think that what failure teaches you is it teaches you how to succeed, really. I mean, because it shows you, okay, hey, I got to do this differently. I got to do that differently. Otherwise, you just do nothing. I always say, if you're not willing to take risks, that's okay. But your competition is. Someone's taking the risks.
Yep.
So either you do not and you just stay stagnant and you stay with whatever it is you are, but don't bitch about it, or you can have your competition outrank you and they'll take the risks. So someone's got to take risks. Now learn to get comfortable with it. Are you going to fail? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at every amazing entrepreneur, Alex Formosa you mentioned, I mean, these guys
Monster.
have failed way more times than they have succeeded.
He's a monster.
He is a monster.
He's legitimately redefined what entrepreneurship and pivoting.
I love
and
him. He's great.
His social media stuff. Did you see what he did recently?
Which
He
one?
completely got rid of all of his other content, and he was only doing business specific content for a short amount of time. And then he does case studies with himself.
Yeah.
It's baffling.
Yeah. His mind is it's awesome.
Guy's smart.
But he got there by failing, right? I mean, that's what the DNA of an entrepreneur is. I think that's the DNA of every human is we have to fail.
Yeah.
We failed in numerous different ways. They just don't remember it. You failed on a test at one point in your life. You failed at, a relationship at one point in your time.
Sure.
Have so many failures in your life. Being a business owner is failing too. So I tell these people, like, listen, if you want to increase revenue, you're going to have to take some risks. Risks are going to lead you to failure. But it's how can we overcome those and how can we utilize those failures, learn from it, and succeed? Otherwise, you can just stay stagnant. Don't say I want to make more money and I want to take the easy path. Nothing is easy.
Yeah.
This country is amazing, but it's only amazing if you take those risks.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be handed to you. That's where I think physicians are so negligent with that mindset because they go through this suffering and schooling, and I get it, been there, and then they're expecting, paycheck to be handed to them, and they get paid well. But then they're having that same expectation when they become a business owner. They're like, oh, this should be easy for me because I've suffered enough. No, you suffered enough because you chose to in this medical school. So choose to in the business world too.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I have a concept that my following is going to get sick of hearing, but I say it over and over again. And I really want to drive it home to everybody that watches any of my content. And I want to see how you perceive it. I don't consider or think that I've actually ever failed because I don't look at it as failure, like winning or losing. I look at it as either I'm winning or I'm learning.
Yeah, I like that.
And the only way that I look at failure is, does a failure hurt at the time? Yes. Is it painful? Yes. Is it supposed to be? Yes.
Right.
If it doesn't hurt, if it's not painful, if it doesn't make you think for a second or stop for a second or be like, ooh, that one hurt.
Right.
Are you going to learn?
Right.
No. When you touch the hot stove for the first time, ooh, fuck, that hurt.
Right. Right.
You learned. You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
The
That's really
concept
true.
of winning or learning is what I always think of because,
I mean,
I've had plenty of failures in my life. Failed relationships, failed business ventures. I've lost money. I've failed in certain aspects of my law enforcement career. Every single one I learned from. My most recent failure was one where I basically could have or conceptually did. I ended up not, but I would have lost $250,000 in this business venture that I invested in. It was basically fucked. Like I fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like what was it? The Hangover. The call. Hey, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Like that was how I felt. And I'm talking to accountants. I'm talking to CPAs and our internal CPA team, and they were like, "Yeah, we pretty much lost like a little over $250,000 on this." And I kind of like thought for a second. I could have, had a panic attack and been stressed. And I'm like, I was in a really good mood that day. Some days I would have probably reacted differently. But I was like, isn't it cool that we could lose $250,000? And I'm like, everybody's still eating and we're still paying our bills and we're still okay. And like, we literally just lit on fire $250,000.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. They're looking at me like I'm insane.
Right.
And I'm like, what did we learn? We learn we're not going to put money into that industry because we don't know what we're doing. We learn we're not going to trust people in this way. We learn we're not going to structure contracts this way. XXXX. I learned so much from that experience that the education, and I did end up losing. I ended up kind of breaking even somewhat, but I didn't end up just losing that money. Let's say I did lose that $250,000. All the lessons I learned, you got to pay for an education. Just like you pay for college, just like you pay for a certification, just like you pay for every single lesson, every single failure, if you look at it like a lesson to learn, you will have to pay for it, whether it's through suffering or through money or through pain or through a scar.
Right.
You're paying for it.
I agree. I love that. I think that's a great perspective, is to learn from those failures and not have them be failures. Be like, okay, yeah, it sucked. I learned from it. I'm not going to do it again. And that's just how human behavior is. Like you said, when you touch that stove, you're like, I'm not doing that again, right? Yeah. If you make a failure, lose money, I'm not doing it again. You put money into to some shares or the market, it tanks, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. It's about learning, right? And I think that has to be evolved. And I see the young generation, we're in a weird transition. We have the baby boomers that are retiring. We have the newcomers that are coming into the workforce that are kind of entitled, but there's a whole nother conversation. But
sure,
nonetheless, I think that all of us are still learning and we have to fail. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of embraced that early. I think that every person wants to not admit that they aren't perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I messed up. Like, you don't want to admit it to your loved one. You don't want to admit it to your parents. You don't want to even say it to any society or say anything at all, because we all have a little bit of ego, as we mentioned. And I think that that's what causes people to be reserved. They're like, hey, I don't want to fail because if I do, I don't want people to know about it, right?
Yeah. See, I'm so different in the way that I thrive in stress and anxiety.
Yep.
Like my morning and my last 2 days have been like
crazy,
destroyed. Like it's like it's a complete disaster.
Yep.
And I'm going through this and I'm looking at it, and this morning it's like I feel better this morning doing these podcasts, doing this content under all that pressure than I have for a couple weeks maybe, when everything was kind of just going and it was like steady and things were okay. Like, I work very well under pressure. I did a podcast maybe a month ago, and my guy Hunter was there with me. He's like, yeah, that was really good. I'm like, I got 90 minutes of sleep last night.
Yeah.
Legitimately. And I'm like, but under the pressure, I felt good.
What entrepreneurs are, we're mental athletes, right? I mean, think about the best athletes, Michael Jordans of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy played a game when he had a flu. I mean,
didn't he have 102 fever or something?
Yeah, it was
like
ridiculous. Like, the fact that he survived was crazy. But they're athletes and they're able to perform in their game in high stress environments. We're mental athletes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of mental stress. People are like, oh, you get to dictate your own hours. It must be nice. I'm like, dude, I never stop working. You can clock in and clock out.
You can
take
your own hours.
Right. Do you hear that? Like, oh, you're being an entrepreneur must be nice. You can take days off. I'm like, dude, we don't ever get to turn this brain off.
Yeah. Should we like clue people? Should we both look in like the center camera together and be like, hey, you don't get to dictate shit.
No.
Like, you literally are constantly under it. You know what I mean?
We're never turning our brain off. We're stressing. I mean, it constantly, but we embrace it. That's what I'm saying. We're mental athletes, and that's what we are.
We function better sometimes with it, you know. And like, one of the biggest things that I say to people that think that I like work too much or do too much, you know, I'm like, I feel like the laziest person in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like I do not do enough. I don't work enough. I slept too much that day. Yep. You know, it's something stupid, right?
Yeah.
And like, I go through those phases in my head, and I mean, I know you do the same thing. I know it's just how we have
to. I mean, that's just how. That's how you have to be. You know, you have to choose this life, and nothing's handed to you anymore. I think that before you can get a degree, you can get handed a very nice amount of money.
Yeah.
That's not the case as much anymore. I mean, degrees are just, like I said, a formality. Failure, or like you mentioned, learning opportunities, but you have to take that leap. And, you know, it's not easy what we do. I think people look at it as like, oh yeah, you know, you have the nice life. It's like, we do have a nice life. We make good money. We're very, very blessed to have this sort of income.
Well, yeah,
but it doesn't it's not handed to us.
Well, you built it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You built it and you worked hard for it.
Right.
You suffered for it.
Right.
And anything that's good in life or worthwhile is worth suffering for.
Absolutely.
People are very suffering adverse. They don't want to suffer for it. They don't want to hurt.
Yeah.
You know, They don't push themselves past that point.
Right.
So now I have a question. I've been asking this with a lot of people that are wealthy or entrepreneurs, things like that. I asked to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. We were out, and I said, what are you like into? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what are you into? Like, besides like building your business, besides like your family and stuff, like, what are you into? Like, what do you do for yourself? Like, what do you spend money on? And what do you, like, you're successful, like you have money, we get it.
Yeah.
So what do you do like for yourself? And it was funny. Like, he got really called out by it. And he's like, I don't know how to answer this. He's like, I feel kind of awkward because I don't have an answer. And he's like, and I'm not sure that I've had an answer for that for a very long time. I'm like, dude, you better reevaluate it.
Yeah.
Like, and this guy's worth like millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Doesn't like supercars, doesn't have like a watch collection, like doesn't buy boats, like doesn't go fishing, doesn't go on vacations. And I'm like, what are you fucking doing with your money then? Like, what are you doing for yourself? Like,
Right.
I get, having a nice house and having family. So I want to ask you, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I hope you're not put on the spot by it.
No, absolutely not.
But like, I mean, you got a nice watch on, I know you like cars. We talked Porsches before we got on camera.
Yeah.
But like, what does Sam like? What are you into?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've actually never been asked that, so I appreciate it. I think that you're absolutely right, though, to your point, is that people, when they're asked about where do you like to spend your money, inherently they're like, well, I don't want to talk about that. Like, they don't want to, they want to be humble in it. And I think being humble is also understanding, hey, I'm not making this money to just put in the piggy bank and leave it there. Certainly we're saving.
Sure.
Certainly we're making smart investments. But to your question, what I've started to realize is I'm in my young years still. My wife and I don't have kids yet. So we want to be able to utilize this to enjoy our lives. We want to utilize this success to put money away, invest, but also have some fun, right? I mean, that's the point of life, is to have fun. And so those things, I do like watches. I have a Rolex 1987 Coke that I'm wearing right now. That's the year I was born, so that's why I got it.
It's a hot watch, bro. 87 Coke is.
I love it. It's iconic for multiple reasons with the
It
Rolex
didn't come
history.
with that band, I assume.
No. I like
put the
more
flex
casual.
strap on
Yeah,
it?
I put the flex strap on. But nonetheless, I love watches right now. It's my huge thing. My wife's been more supportive about it. She's like, you know what? I sat down and explained. I said, people make investments. You can invest into property. You can invest into real estate. Market, great. I'm not saying not to.
Sure.
I think it's great, especially in Florida. It's great. But you can invest in other things too. I can invest in watches. And that's what my investment is. I know that if I sell this, I'll make the same amount, if not a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing, is I can invest in things I can enjoy day to day.
Yeah.
So watches is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I have a lot. I have several. I have Omegas, which was my first watches that I had.
What's your favorite?
This would probably be my favorite right now.
Okay.
Right now that I have. There's a lot of watches I have on the horizon.
What's your dream watch?
That's a good question.
What's one of your dream watches? Maybe not the top.
Yeah, no, there's a couple Pateks that I like that are like the vintage. I'm a huge vintage guy. I like old things, just because they have meaning, they have history. Not that the new watches, the one you have is real nice. It's got my alma mater color, so I've been eyeing that.
Yeah, this is the new Guinness GMT.
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful.
People think it's all black, but it's like
There's
a
the
slate
brown.
gray,
Yeah,
and then
like
it's the black on the top.
Okay,
But I mean,
it's beautiful.
super fun watch.
Yeah, but watches are great because they're art that are on your wrist.
Yes,
That's what they are. They're art forms. They have history. They have a story. We're able to enjoy them. And on top of that, it's a safe investment. We know that we can cash it in if things go to shit. I can always go back to my piggy bank, which is on my wrist. I wear it. Cars is my guilty pleasure right now. I'm starting to dabble in it. I'm still a very big BMW guy, just because it was my first luxury car I ever purchased.
So you drive like an asshole. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
That's exactly it.
It's like the typical BMW guy, right?
Yes.
So you're cutting people off. You don't know what turn signals are. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Perfect.
the typical. So I have my X6.
Those are sweet.
Yeah, it's brand new. I got, my wife drives a BMW iX, which is the electric BMW
Super
SUV.
cool too. Yep.
I just got a Porsche Taycan GTS. It's got the chalk color with the black rims. It's super sexy. They're fast. Yeah.
fast.
So I dabble with the gas, and then my dogs have their own car because I don't like putting them then in the luxury car. So we have the typical Honda reliable Passport. Got one of those too. So
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
so I have my vision now, because my wife always talks about this. She's like, "Hey, we're at 9 months now," and that can mean a lot of things. I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean we're at 9 months? Are you pregnant?" But she's like, "No. Every 9 months you switch out a car," which is totally true. I cycle through cars so quickly.
You leasing them or buying them?
I used to buy. Now the Porsche was the first lease I ever did.
Lease through the company.
Lease with the company.
Of course.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah,
By
exactly.
the way, tax preparation, guys.
Yeah,
Listen,
I mean,
this is seriously good advice.
That's why I started doing it. I was
Seriously
like,
good advice.
what's over 6,000 pounds, which the Porsche Taycan GTS is?
So, yeah, if you 179 it. So if you section 179, you
Correct.
got to have that over the weight.
Yep.
But if you lease a vehicle
That's
through,
also
through your
tax
company,
Yep.
all of
100%.
it's tax deductible.
100%. Yep.
This is excellent business stuff that people need to know.
Right. Like we never learn this, right? Like
Yeah.
we never learn. No one teaches us this, but what I do, watch YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I realized I'm like, all right, what if I'm going to pay cash or if I'm going to not lease it? What's over 6,000 pounds? So all my cars are over 6,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And then this recent one is a lease, so that's great. I mean, I have my sights on a few cars. You know, the 911 is they just released the new 911 hybrid,
Yep.
which is crazy. So I'm
Be an interesting car.
It will be an interesting car, but when you're a kid, you have these dreams, and and I feel like that kid is coming out of me.
Yeah.
You want that Lamborghini car, and we'll see. I want to be responsible. I got humans to bring into this world,
Sure,
and I gotta
of course.
take care of them. But I think that my thing is, hey, this is how I look at this, and I'm glad we brought this up because my wife asked me when we first got, we've been together for like 12 years, but when we first got together, she was the complete opposite. She was like, "Why are you buying a big screen TV?" And I'm like, "Cause I like it, cause I enjoy it."
Yeah.
And then when we started in our careers, she would be like, "Oh my God, you're buying that watch?" And I told her, I was like, "Listen, this watch alone," and this is a true story, this watch alone has probably made me $500,000. How? Because it sparks up conversations.
Yep.
People, just like it did with you.
Well, as soon as I saw you, what did I say?
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a Coca-Cola on your
Yeah.
wrist? I'm like, what's going on there?
Yeah, it brings up conversation.
Yeah.
So I was in Dallas earlier this year, and someone came up to me. They were wearing a Rolex Pepsi. I was wearing the Coke. He's like, "Nice watch." I was like, "You too, nice watch." We talked, we hung out, we had deals together. He was one of my clients, and I'm like, "There we go. I just made 20, 30K." And it's just crazy that's how I look at it. That's one, is that these things, not that I want that type of clientele that wants me because I, like nice things, but it grows conversation. So that's number one. Number two is when I buy this thing or when I buy my car, it fuels me to want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's my juice, right? I get super excited. I'm like, all right, I just leveled up. I'm going to level up again. That means I need to go to work. That means I got to go open up businesses, get more clients. I got to go make another few million so I can justify buying my next thing. It fuels me to want it again.
You have to be
It's
in that,
my high.
But you have to be in that mindset.
Yeah.
Because people be like, "Oh, well, I'll go buy a crazy car." I'm like, you can,
Right.
but you need to know that you're in that mindset. You need to know that your body's going to react like that.
Yeah.
Because some people will get it and then it won't trigger
They
that.
stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, did you see the new, I'm going to go back to watches and I want to go into cars real quick. Did you see the new Shannon Sharp viral video going all over internet?
I have not. I have to.
He's wearing a $175,000 Patek rose gold, beautiful watch, right?
Oh, yeah. I've seen
So-
those. Those are nice.
Yeah. Oh, one
Super
of my
nice.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So he's wearing that watch, and he's telling the guy, he's like, "Difference between me and you." He says, "Your watch tells you what time it is. My watch," and he pulls up, and that watch aftermarket right now is probably 400,000.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Quadruple,
So he
yeah.
pulls up this watch, it's close to $500,000 if you want to buy it right now. He's like, "This watch tells you how valuable my time is." I'm like, just
That
throw
is-
the microphone
that is-
away.
that's
bro.
powerful.
You're done.
That's powerful.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But what did that watch do for you? It showed you how valuable your time is.
Yep.
What does the car do for you? It shows you that you are maybe a next level, right? I mean, when I pull up in an Aston Martin, it says something.
Yeah.
So if someone sees me in an Aston
Right.
Martin, it says something.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with driving a Toyota Camry, bro. I
Yep.
loved it. My
Yeah.
favorite. My first car were Hondas. I loved
Yep.
Hondas my entire
Honda
life.
Accord.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's. I mean, I drive a pickup truck most of the time.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a hot rod pickup. It's a TRX, the Ram
Oh,
TRX.
those are nice. Yeah.
But from far away, it's just a pickup truck.
Right.
Nobody knows the hell it is. That's my normal daily driver. I drove my Aston Martin today. Why? Because Friday. Because I want to feel good.
Yeah.
Because I want to be excited. And driving that, playing music in the Aston Martin, wearing my nice watch. That's a conversation piece. Those all say something.
They do.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not trying to, it's not about gloating. It's not
Right.
about bragging. It has nothing to do with ego.
Right.
These things are strategic.
They are.
They
are.
This watch says something about me. The car says something about me, and the same with you.
Absolutely.
And I hate people that shun them.
I know.
I hate people that
Yeah.
look at somebody drive up in a Lamborghini in a gas station. They're like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah, asshole.
Why?
Yeah.
What is that in your head? That's jealousy. That's insecurity,
I
and
agree.
that's a lack of self-confidence because you're immediately thinking that you can't get it.
Right.
Well, guess what? You fucking can.
Yeah.
You can. You can get anything you want. The problem is that most people have in their head is that they immediately limit themselves. They don't want to put forth the effort to go through the suffering to get to that point, and they don't put forth the effort.
You're absolutely right. They're too
Nobody puts
scared.
forth 100%.
No.
Nobody. When I ask people, like, how much effort do you think you put forth every day? Like, oh, at least 50%. Bullshit. I bet you it's 5.
Yeah.
Bet you it's 10 max.
Yep.
I brought this up to my girl the other day, and she was like, oh, at least 50, 60%. I said, bullshit. How much time did you scroll? How
Right.
much TV did you watch? Did you snooze your alarm?
Yep.
Now imagine that version of you that's 100% efficiency. Efficiency in every single aspect. The gym is perfect. Your eating is perfect. Your sleep is perfect. That's 100%.
Yep.
Who's putting forth 100%? Nobody.
Nobody.
If anybody even gets close,
Yep.
your success is guaranteed. You will guaranteed have that
Yeah.
because everybody else is not even
It's a
coming
simple
close.
math equation.
Really is.
You add these things together, the output's going to be pretty large. You don't, you're not. I mean, it's very simple. And I think that that's, to your point, it's phenomenal what culturally people have looked at luxury as.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sitting there taking photos of it and posting on my Instagram, you know, like, hey, I got this. Like, you know,
Sure.
I'm not these like young, you know, ballers, nothing against them. That's
Sure.
great.
If that makes them happy, all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no judgment. And so that's why, you know, for me, I want to enjoy it. I want to get it. And I don't mind, you know, saying I have it because that's our trophy, right?
Yeah.
We all have wins. Athletes have wins. They take home, obviously, a lot of money, but they take home that ring. They take home that trophy. They put it on their mantle. That's their, hey, I want to do that again. They look at that, not of what I have achieved, but what more can I get? How can I get another one next to it? And that's how I view my trophies. I view this as a trophy. I view my cars as a trophy. And
Oh, dude, I never thought that I got chills. You just sparked me right now. Like, I'm super excited.
I mean,
I
that's-
never thought of this as a trophy.
that's what it is.
I never thought of the car as a trophy.
It's a win.
Dude.
It's a win of life. And now what do you want to do? You want to go win more.
You just gave me a little bit of fire that I didn't have, and now I'm super excited about it. Thank you.
No,
Appreciate
that's how I look at it, is that these are all wins, right? And what winners want is to win more.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is to win more. I want to get more. I want to have more. I want to be able to do it because I can, right? People are like, why do you want that stuff? I'm like, because I can.
Man.
It's very simple.
I want you to give one last piece of advice to everybody watching. Your one piece of advice you give anybody, doesn't matter what capacity, what business, what they're doing. One piece of advice just for anybody watching from you.
Yep.
And then I want to hear where we can find you, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, my biggest thing is I meet with a lot of different age groups, a lot of older physicians, a lot of older, younger, middle-aged entrepreneurs, and all of them say it's too late. It's too late, Sam. You know, I'm winding down. I don't have enough energy anymore. It's too risky. It's too late. You know, I'm comfortable. Are you though? You know, so my biggest thing, my biggest takeaway is it's never too late to do things. I mean, we see people, look at Gary V's of the world, like people that were in their late 20s, early 30s that are, were just getting started, that were nobodies, making millions and hundreds of millions now. It's never too late. Yeah. And I thought that too. I was like, oh man, I went through all this school. I'm in my 30s now. Like, it's too late. It's never too late. And I think that that's the biggest thing is you can learn things digitally. You can go online, you can watch YouTube. You got to have the interest for it. Go find a coach, go find a mentor, have conversations like this, get fired up. But if you sit on your couch and you're going to sit there and say it's too late, well then yeah, get the fuck out of my way. Like,
It's too late.
I'm going to take over. I'm going to go to work. Those are the people. I mean, when the world needs those type of people, because that's how you and I win. But nonetheless, not everyone has to be like that.
Yeah.
Like, go and fight, go and win. Just get yourself off the couch, and it's never too late. I have 60-year-olds that are in debt still from school, but we're getting them out and they're making hundreds of thousands every month because we're getting them to do it, but they had that interest. So people out there that say it's too late, maybe it is for you. I mean, if that's your mindset, you're too far gone, but there's so much opportunity. This world's amazing, man. I mean, we live in a great time. it's an amazing time. And I know there's media and politics and all that stuff going on. That's never going away.
Yeah.
And that may discourage a lot of people, but just know what you're powerful. Are you interested? Are you driven? Do you have the grit to get there? Do you have support? Do you have resources? What the hell are you complaining about that? You have everything you need. Get to work. You got the ingredients on the table. Now go make a recipe, make it taste good. That's all it is. Otherwise, those are going to mold on the table and your ingredients are going to go to shit. So put those ingredients together while they're still ripened and while they're still hot. Make something of it. That's how I look at it.
Love it. How can people find you?
Social media would be great. The Sam Patel with periods, and that's the easiest way. I love having conversations. I love being on podcasts like this. Message me. Obviously, YouTube, same handle. Those are the easiest ways. I mean, I would love to engage with people. I think that this is what this should be like. It should be share ideas, not hold them on, not be competitive. And that's how we should collaborate. So yeah, reach out.
If we can spark one person from this conversation to get out of their own way, to not realize it's too late, that's what matters.
That's
right?
all that matters.
Yeah. So we're going to put all your links below, your YouTube, your podcast, your social media. Everybody go follow him, the.sam.patel. Are you verified yet?
I am.
All right. He's verified already. So, I mean, you can't mess it up. There's a couple Patels out there, 2 or 3.
A couple. They're all fake, though. I'm the real one.
He's the real one. So go follow him. His content's awesome, really stimulating.
Appreciate it.
Again, I'm really happy to have you on here. I love the concepts, and I love how much education you have and how grounded you are. Just really, really a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Really a pleasure to learn more about you, and I know everybody else would absolutely get benefit from consuming more of your content. So, guys, if you like this episode, if you like following, give the channel a follow. Give Tomo Talks a follow. Follow us all on social media. I appreciate you watching. Bye.